be live. I don't know.
Yeah, we're live now, it says.
Are we live? Yeah, I tell you what, this
We
is
are.
going off every time because this is still loading on my screen. So
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it up.
it's I don't think it's ever going to be a beautiful start to this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I do see it there. So I am going to close that. And I'm going to close that because I don't need a bunch of this stuff up. So, yep, if you're saying you're live, or we're live, and I'm seeing that now on the Facebook page here. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to Crypto 145 on MDD. It is Sunday. Well, it's always Sunday when we're doing the live stream, but it is February 18th. So we're just getting started here, joined with my friend from the UK and one of our fearless leaders, of course, Johnny. Say hello, Johnny.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey. So while we wait for people to come up, we'll do the normal thing. So as I work through some of these items here, go back to my screen share, that, share sound, of course. We'll do that. Now I am screen sharing, and here we go, and the intro.
Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me. Money keeps coming to me. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me. Money keeps coming to me. Money is coming to me. Money keeps coming to me. Money is coming to me. I can just feel it. And I believe money keeps coming to me. It's coming to me now. And I'm not worried about how. Oh yeah, money is coming to me. Come on, come on, come on. The universe is working for me. I can just feel it. And I believe it's working for me now. And I'm not worried about how. Oh yeah, money is coming to me. More than enough to live, more than enough to give, more than enough to share. I feel like it's already here. More than enough to shout, more than enough to drop.
Oh yeah.
More than enough to save, with plenty left over to give away. Money is coming to me. I can just feel it, and I believe it's coming to me now. And I'm not worried about how. Oh yeah, money is coming to me. Come on, come on, come on. The universe is working for me. Working and working. I can just feel it, and I believe it's working for me now. And I'm not worried about how. Oh yeah, money is coming to me.
How about that, Johnny?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Love it.
Yeah, I tried to get a little funk going in the group. Not bad funk. We didn't want bad funk. We want good funk. So yeah, and I see Anwar, rock on, buddy. You had the little dancey dude emoji. So, all right, how do I get out of my comments? All right, so here we are. Thank you for joining us today. We do have a lot of news and a lot of items to go over. There's the obvious things to talk about, and that's what's going on in the Bitcoin market and what have you. I think at least I'm in better spirits this weekend. Johnny, how about you?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more positive this week.
Yes.
Most definitely.
It's always good to see green on the charts. So, but we will get to the charts. That'll be one of the last things actually we're going to do today, because last week we actually spent a lot of time in the charts, and the week before that we spent some time in the charts. We will do some chart time today, but we're going to go around the horn on, we got plenty of news items to cover. So let's see, how many people do we have? I don't want to jump in too quickly.
currently got 4 people on.
All right. Well, it's a party. Where there's Johnny and I, there's a party. So anybody, you're welcome to join the party. What I will say too is, as always, we do want to point out that neither Johnny nor myself, as the disclaimer was on the intro, neither Johnny nor myself are financial advisors. None of the information that we are sharing is intended to be taken as trading or investing advice. Always do your own research on any investments or trades. And, you know, to that point, I will point out, Johnny, is even though I'm going to show a lot of articles and we're going to show articles, we can't vouch for the validity, right? They're articles. So
Yeah, for sure. Like at the end of the day, like I don't know about you, but in the last sort of few weeks, maybe even a couple of months, a lot of these crypto news outlets have been effectively putting out a lot of garbage.
yeah,
So the questions come up in my mind is whether they accept money to print certain things, whether they charge people to have their stuff on the site.
absolutely. I think I've heard Cointelegraph being accused of putting out questionable stuff, but
yeah, for sure, definitely them.
But I just want
go. Sorry.
No, so I was just going to say it. So I just wanted to point that out as well, is that we're going to share articles. We're going to talk about some articles, but even with article-based information, still don't take it as the gospel, and do your research and look at it through the critical eye of an investor or a trader before you make a decision based on any information. Cool. All right.
100% agree.
All right. So the one thing that you wanted to talk about, I'm going to go to your article first, where we're going to talk about the market cap, and then we're going to kind of just go off on a tangent from there. So let me go back to the screen share, and I'll give you got the mic to talk about whatever you want to while I do this.
Yeah, bear with me 1 second. I have to plug in my electric cigarette because, well, if I don't have it, I murder people.
Well, we don't want that. Not on video, at least.
I should have really had it already set up, but it's Sunday, man.
It's the weekend.
There we are.
Weekend. And by the way, if there's anybody from, what is it? Anybody that watches this or you're in here, I don't think so, from Norway. Good job on the medal count. You guys are, I think it's Norway. You guys are way ahead of everybody else. So congrats on that. But you know what? You can have the Winter Olympics. They're all yours.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see the screen, Johnny. I do have up your article.
I can see it, but I've got it on the laptop as
Okay.
well.
All right.
Just to make sure.
And I'll just watch the comments. And, you know, feel free. You know, we're here as a community. Johnny and I are taking the time to do this live stream, but we're here as a community. So if you have questions about crypto in general, the news, or anything like that, please feel free to ask. If you have specific questions about Crypto Agent Bot or anything like that, let's hold those till the end, because we don't want to go too deep into that. And then if we do have questions about that, we can address that, I guess, at the end. Fair? Okay.
You.
Because I know what you're going to ask, right?
Who, what?
I know what they're going to ask, so we'll just hold that till the end.
Yeah. We've got we've got a few people on now, so yeah, I'll crack on. So yeah, as you can see, like the article there, it talks about the fact that Bitcoin's pushed up to 11K. It did actually go over that for a portion of time, dropped back down again, I think right the way back down to like 10,200. But yeah, it's crept back up again. So I believe, let me just check it now. Yeah, we're at around 10,691 is the current price. So yeah, I mean, like it says there though, the market cap's actually gone back over 500 billion mark. Now I've been posting here and there in regards to the market cap, and I'm pretty sure at one stage it got below 4. Was it? It was well below 400, wasn't it? Well below. I mean, I did see somebody post that it went down to 250, but I didn't actually see that myself. But yeah, I mean, it's gone back up quite a lot in the last, well, probably week and a half. I would say, Dale.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. I'm just scrolling through this now because it's also talking about Litecoin and what have you.
Yeah, obviously, because like you say, it says it in the article that obviously crypto had a slow start to the month. A lot of money left the market. A lot of people attribute that to the Chinese New Year and that kind of stuff. But yeah, like it says in the article that over 24 hours, the market cap actually has gone up in like a pretty decent amount, which is obviously really good for us because I mean we're all. I don't know about you guys watching this, but I'm on a countdown to 1 trillion market cap. Because I think that's a really that's going to be a psychological barrier for the market in general, as well as a lot of the more traditional investors out there and stuff like that. A lot of the Wall Street money and the banking cartels. So I think that's why I personally keep an eye on the market cap. But obviously, as we've seen, when more money comes into the market, the prices tend to go up. Which is obviously what we've seen in the last few days. And it's just a positive sign after so many weeks of negative press, negative article after negative article, news report after news report, this person saying some crap about Bitcoin who's probably never even owned any in his life, and this person calling it a scam, and we've had the Wolf of Wall Street thinking he's Billy Big Bollocks, even though he quite clearly has... while he does blatantly have some knowledge of crypto, I don't really think he fully understands what he's talking about. And he's just plain wrong as well. So, I mean, we've had weeks and weeks of that, and we're finally, over the last few days, starting to see some positive stories come back into the market as well. And this being obviously one of them. And I do believe that over the next few weeks and months, it's just going to keep growing. Like I say, for me, that the target is 1 trillion. It's a psychological cap in people's minds and investors and stuff like that. And once we hit that, obviously, I can just see it exploding from there. But yeah, it's a positive step, it's a positive sign. Prices going up, market cap's going up, and we're moving back into positive territory. So yeah, this is why I wanted to have this in there this week.
Yeah, I would say I really don't recall a lot of, there's articles and there's news here and there, but I think most of the news that I've been seeing over the last week or 2 weeks are basically recovery type articles from negative news that we saw, last month or take, for example, South Korea and what have you. At one time, there was a lot of negative news, bad news coming out, but most of the news coming out there is that, okay, what are the steps? What are we going to be doing in order to recover from this news, the bad situation? So, and from our perspective, we've got these big items like market cap and what have you, but then we have us as individual players in that space. And even though we may not participate to a large degree, this next article, matter of fact, I'll go ahead and pull it up. See if this will pop up. Hopefully, there we go. Ones like this one, an anonymous trader buys 400 million in Bitcoin. And so also I'll point out is I tried to look for articles from sources other than just Cointelegraph or what have you. So this one is from MarketWatch, which is more on the financial side of things. This was about an anonymous trader buying 400 million worth of Bitcoin, and there's the address right there. So that's the beautiful thing about the space that we live in this transparent world is right there. It's you can read it on the blockchain. You can see these purchases. Matter of fact, it's kind of an interesting thing sometime if you log into the blockchain and actually watch the transactions. You see some of these big transactions going through. It's pretty exciting. So to that point, I was just saying that, we as individual traders or investors, we do what we can to participate, even though we don't move markets like somebody that's making a purchase of $400 million worth of Bitcoin. And Johnny, did you say that you thought you had heard it go up even higher?
Yeah, it was a conversation that I saw. Well, I actually saw it in two places. I saw some people talking about it on Facebook, but it was actually Twitter was the conversation that I followed properly, and yeah, they were saying that the address of I don't know if it was the same one or potentially it could just be a different guy.
Sure.
Had actually bought I believe it was like just over $900 million worth of Bitcoin in this account, just sitting there, as well as which is obviously. Oh, sorry.
No,
that's my own voice.
That's me.
So yeah, so like, I mean, I don't know if that was new money or it's just money that's been sitting in this address for a while, and they were all speculating who it could be and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, the suggestion is this is new money in the market, ready to pounce, basically. So I mean, if there's multiple accounts doing similar things, it just means that the big guys out there are ready to drop some change into Bitcoin, which is obviously gonna bring the bulls back, hopefully.
Yeah, that's and this item and the last item, it really does contribute to the general sentiment of the market and the impact that positive items of news can have on the market, where you said, it might attract the bulls, the bulls coming back. Sometimes all they got to do is that, smell that positive sentiment and the bulls will come back. There may not be any specific announcement or reason or anything like that. It's just that sentiment can drive the market. And
yep,
it's kind of like, well, we still got snow on the ground here, but it's like the promise of spring coming, it puts you in a better mood. So anyway, there was that piece of news. And what I will say, Joe Arena, g'day. I wonder if Joe's from, are you from Australia there, Joe? Hopefully you are, because that's a good g'day kind of thing and then there's Brett Nixon is with us. And looks like Eldridge is with us. So we'll keep watching for your questions. Okay, let's go on.
What's up, Eldridge?
What's that?
So what's up, Eldridge? Well, man, I love Eldridge. He's so cool.
Okay, this was a news item that I intended to share last week, and I apologize. You know what? Last week, what actually happened is my computer stopped because there was a complete Windows update on my computer right when I was trying to do the live stream. So my computer was down for a considerable amount of time while it updated Windows completely, not just literally, I mean, it just reinstalled everything. So,
oh, wow. Yeah,
I had to put Telegram back on and all that type of stuff. So, but this was an article that I wanted to share last week, but I wasn't able to. This is an article, let me see, we got here. This was January 15th, actually, that 80% of all Bitcoins have been mined. There's only 4.2 million coins left until the supply cap. So I thought that was a pretty big benchmark. And it raises some questions, to me anyway, about Bitcoin. Because pretty much all conversations, or most conversations around mining Bitcoin and mining farms and all this type of stuff, it is pretty much centered on Bitcoin. So I don't have an answer, and I'd be very curious to see what happens to Bitcoin once it's all done.
Well, I would say that there's a simple answer to that, but it would probably be wrong. My guesstimate on that would be that Bitcoin would then skyrocket in value as everybody panics at not being able to to mine anymore. So from there, then basically they will be buying it up everywhere they can get it, which will send the price like absolutely loopy. But it might not go that way. It might be that a lot of people, well, especially the miners, that have made X millions of dollars or billions of dollars by then, potentially leave the market. They sell up everything and they're like, right, that's my Bitcoin done with. I've made enough money. I can retire buy a nice island somewhere and live the rest of my days a happy man or woman.
I'm certainly not going to ever say I'm a blockchain expert, and maybe we can, maybe next time I'm at a meetup and I'm talking to a blockchain expert, but, I would agree, yeah, because of scarcity that would draw the price up, but who's maintaining the blocks? Who's confirming the transaction? I mean, once the miners are done, does it become proof of stake? Does it move from proof of work over to proof of stake? I mean, the block itself still needs to be administered somehow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not really sure on that kind of side exactly what would happen, or whether they would whether they'd need to change something up so that the miners would be able to take advantage of maybe like doing more on the transactional side than actually mining it. I don't know if there'd be an opportunity for them there, but
I don't know what the reward would be though.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I'm not really all that clued up on the technical aspects of that kind of thing. I don't know. Satoshi's probably got hundreds of billions of dollars, so if he really wanted to, he could just pay him out of his own pocket.
That's true. So a reminder for anybody that's new to cryptocurrency, it took us a number of years to get to this 80% mark, right? This wasn't something new in 2017. This has been around for, a decade, close to a decade now. So it took us
just over 9 years, I think.
Yep. So it took us this long to get to 80%, but the fact is that we are at 80%, and we only have 4.2 million coins left until the supply cap. Now, that could also mean that the core team behind Bitcoin or Bitcoin itself could say, well, we weren't expecting to happen what has happened, so we're actually going to increase the supply. Now that could have an adverse effect on prices and what have you too. So I just wanted to share this because to me it was a fairly significant benchmark, and just to kind of stick it in your head and say, interesting point,
What I wonder as well is obviously, like a few, I think it's about 2 years ago, they said that they estimated that they would mine all of the Bitcoin by 2100. Now I'm wondering if maybe that's been brought forward. I don't know if the popularity of Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining has brought that date forward at all. That'd be interesting to know, to be honest.
Yeah. So I tell you what, what I will say is, if we have anybody in the MDD community that is a Bitcoin, a blockchain wizard, and you're all about this, let us know. We'll get you on next week, and you can explain all this to us, because we don't have any answers on this, but it's curious. All right. Let's go on to the next news item. This one actually is a relatively new news item, and I apologize for my browser. Swiss Financial Authority releases ICO-specific regulatory guidelines. A lot going on in that ICO space, right? So, and as much as I hate to say, 2018 is going to be the year of finding our regulatory legs. So yeah, here we got Switzerland coming in with some regulatory guidelines. What I might do, because this is a new item and there might be more conversation around ICOs, I might just post this one in the group and let you folks read this at your leisure, because this isn't a small topic. So if, number one, if you're in the US or Canada, you don't really give a crap. So that's, so that's that. So if you live anywhere other than North America, I'll post this in the MDD group and you guys can check it out. But yeah, this one came out just yesterday, actually, February 17th. So some information there that might be of interest to you. Again, this one's Cointelegraph. So yeah, but that's what I mentioned, Cointelegraph. Any thoughts on Switzerland putting out some regulatory guidelines there, Johnny?
Yeah, To be fair, it's one of those things that I think is a good thing. Now, we've spoken about regulation and that kind of stuff in previous conversations and stuff, and you know that obviously I'm not a fan of over regulation, but I do believe that some regulation is going to be needed. Now, over the last few years, we've gone from having 20 to 50 coins to having over 1,400. And a few weeks back, I'm sure I read a blog or an article somewhere from one of the the big crypto guys on Twitter. And in that article, it said that they ran some kind of test or research or whatever it was, and they found that 96% of coins in existence are effectively shit coins. They don't really serve any purpose. They don't solve any problem, which means that there's a lot of money out there in garbage.
Yep.
Now, obviously, having regulatory guidelines around ICOs is going to ensure that only good projects that serve a purpose and have potential to do well, also solve real world problems, are going to get through that regulation, which means that those people that do buy into that ICO, they know that their investment is a lot safer, which is obviously good for all of us.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. So I got into, for some reason, I pick fights on Telegram with people. I don't know why. I just pick fights with various product launches and ICOs and what have you. So got into a conversation on Telegram with, I don't remember what the name of the project was, but it was basically, sound like a cool project. Nope, sorry, nobody in North America can participate in this. And then we got into the conversation about regulation. So what I would say, and I agreed with some of the moderators in that group, was, yes, I will agree that there's regulation is necessary, but what I would really hope is that we become a self-regulating industry. Because somebody in one of the admins for that product said, we need to look towards regulation in order to provide legitimacy. And my response to that is, if we're looking towards regulators to provide legitimacy to the crypto world, we've already,
lost.
I'm very nervous. Yes, we're lost. We missed the point, or you're missing the point. And, I started saying, well, if you want to turn your key, if the idea is to turn the keys over to our new masters, and that be the governments and the regulators, then let's forget this whole thing, because we're simply going to end up with the very same regulators creating rules that gave us the banking collapse of 2008, 2009.
Yep, exactly. That's a very good point, because obviously at the end of the day, these regulators have been basically being lax and allowing governments and banks and central banks to pretty much do whatever the hell they've wanted to.
Yep.
Over the past 50, 100, 200 years, or whenever it was that the first central bank opened and started this ridiculous monetary system that we've got in place.
Yep.
And yeah, so like you say, handing over the keys to the kingdom to those guys,
yep.
maybe it's not such a good idea.
Yeah.
But the problem the only problem I see that we have there is they're the ones that stop people being able to transfer money to use their money with Visa cards, MasterCards,
yep.
debit cards, that kind of stuff. So they do have some scope to punish us if we don't curtail to what they want in effect. But then obviously that opens up the doorway to more real peer-to-peer transaction services that are decentralized being set up. So who knows? It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see which way it goes.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and that's why I say this is, some of the topics that we talk about, they're really, once you start peeling the layers of the onion, they're complicated questions and topics. But I don't think creating a monetary system was intended to be a simple process. You know, the core elements of it can be simple, but then there are all sorts of branches on that can make the complication. So my position on regulation is, yeah, I get it. I get there's the rule. What I'm just hoping is that the crypto community and the regulators, whoever they are, can actually work together to create sensible regulation. If the idea is that we are looking towards, and I sort of blamed this startup of, you know, basically capitulating to regulators so they could stay, you know, in business or what have you. But, you know, I said, you know, if once again, my fear is that we let the regulators come in, they set up the rules. The only people that are going to be able to participate are the banks. The banks are going to own the blockchain. They're going to own the crypto world. It's only going to be open to the accredited investors and the financial elite, and we're right back to where we started from.
Yep. What I personally think needs to happen is if they're going to do regulation and involve the traditional regulators and the governments and stuff like that, then the government has to give the guys in crypto, the ones that have been making the decisions thus far, they have to work with them and they have to take their advice on board and they have to listen to their recommendations, not just try and force things on the cryptocurrency market, because obviously we'll just go and do something else. We'll go fully decentralized and we'll stick two fingers up and we'll say, tough luck. Good luck getting your tax dollars.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit later, there, my friend Johnny. We'll don't think I'm going to ignore the whole tax thing. So let's see if we got any questions here. I'm going to go back to. We just had a few people asking to join the group while we're doing this, so that's cool because they heard that we do awesome live. And all right. Oh, what is that, Joe? What is that? Copacabana, Australia. I didn't even know that. The Copacabana, Australia. Is that a place? It's a song. I know that. At the Copacabana. Anyway, Joe, thanks for joining us from lovely Copacabana, Australia. I really wish I was there, but I'm not. Okay, I got the next article up. Speaking of the big financial blah, blah, blahs that are out there pulling the strings, some of you may have run across information about Coinbase and articles about people being charged by Coinbase, and some articles cited people's bank accounts being drained by Coinbase, and as a result, they went into overdraft and so on and so forth. There's been a bit of a fiasco happening on Coinbase, and turns out it wasn't Coinbase at all. It was actually Visa. This article here from yesterday on Bitcoinist, and there was a lot of articles. I saw a lot of mention of this on Facebook too, and I just shared the article saying, you know, this isn't. I saw some people mentioning that it was happening to them on Facebook, so I posted an article for them. It didn't happen, and it wasn't in our groups, but I shared this saying, you know, this is being widely reported across a lot. But it turns out that Visa owns up to erroneous error. Okay, that's a weird way of saying that. Visa owns up to their errors, saying Coinbase isn't to blame for draining accounts. So I don't know. Be curious if anybody in the group has had your bank account drained. I don't know. It's probably just maybe North America, but I don't know. If you're in the group and you're catching this, tell us whether or not. Well, maybe don't tell us if your bank account was drained by Coinbase, but hopefully it's not happened to any of you. But it sounds like it's been fixed because some people were saying that they were, you know, Coinbase was making good on this. So,
do you want my take on this?
Please do.
I'm going to go full conspiracy theorist here.
Yeah, okay.
This was by design.
By Visa?
Yes, by whoever is trying to undermine Bitcoin. Coinbase is the largest way that new members are, new people to crypto. It's the fastest, easiest way to get access to Bitcoin when you're new. Coinbase is a huge company right now. and loads of money goes through that. Now, the damage has already been done to Coinbase over this issue. I mean, like I said to you before we came on, I actually didn't hear about this myself, but it looks as though, to me anyway, that this would be by design to undermine people buying from the largest place that you can get Bitcoin in the market. And like there's a thing in media where when you get a big headline that says something really bad about somebody or something, sells millions and millions of copies, and it's a big news story and it goes round the world in minutes and all of that kind of stuff. But if that turns out to be wrong and they print a small retraction in the newspaper the next week that said, sorry, we got it wrong, nobody really reads that. Nobody pays attention to that. They just pay attention to the big headline. So what people in a year's time, all people are going to remember is Coinbase were basically stealing money from people's accounts. They're not going to remember the fact that Visa owned up to it eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
and it's just another one of those things, I reckon, that's been done to put a seed of doubt into some people's minds about getting involved in crypto and using Coinbase.
You know, I imagine that what I would say is I would not put it past somebody like Visa to try and play some dirty pool. I think they got caught with their hands on the cookie jar on this one, possibly. I'm sure the Winklevoss brothers are walking around with a chubby this week as a result of this, because that's actually good news for Gemini. So yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised. But
on the flip side to that though, there's a part of me that's like, fuck Coinbase, because I hate Coinbase. I hate what they do. I hate the way that they act when obviously things go up, things go down, that kind of thing. They are always going offline. The amount of fees that they charge above market rate for getting the access to buy Bitcoin and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it'll take them down a peg or two or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely very suspect.
Well, I tell you what, Coinbase did not need that this week, because that brings us to our next article, was Coinbase announcing their e-commerce integration. E-commerce, so this is essentially, we'll just say it's an integration for e-commerce websites. It's basically going to be a button. It's going to be a Coinbase button that website owners can put on their websites or what have you to allow people to use Bitcoin. I think it's just, it's a Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin payments. And it's called Coinbase Commerce. So
it's just effectively a plugin, yeah?
Basically, yes. I'm sure what that's going to require is that for that e-commerce operator to open up a Coinbase account, create a wallet address, all that type of stuff. And it's just going to basically be their wallet in the form of a button. And it pulls up, it looks like it's going to pull up an interface like this, right, where you put in your information. I don't know the workings of it, but this is really the first time that we've seen any consorted, well, I shouldn't say that. This is the first highly or published information about the crypto operators trying to, we'll call it affect mass adoption, even though it's really not mass, trying to make it more usable on day-to-day life. However, there were some announcements here not too long ago, within the last month, of Bitcoin Cash really aggressively out there building relationships. And actually, if you're a website builder or if you're familiar with website development or what have you, you'll be familiar, especially WordPress websites. You'll be familiar with platforms like WooCommerce, WOO Commerce.
Yep.
So Bitcoin Cash announced an integration with WooCommerce. So they're really out there trying to build relationships to make Bitcoin Cash more usable. But I don't have a position either way. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to acknowledge teams that are behind a particular crypto out there actually trying to build stuff.
Yeah. See, I initially I was very, very anti Bitcoin Cash, and I was very anti Roger Ver, but you can't knock the work he's putting in there. And while he is doing like loads of dickish stuff to try and undermine Bitcoin and all of that kind of stuff, and I don't praise him for that. Like he's a dick for that. But on the flip side, the good work that he's actually doing with Bitcoin Cash, trying to make it a real rival to Bitcoin, you got to admire that, and you got to now really and truly, you've got to take Bitcoin Cash seriously. I don't think it's definitely not going away.
Nope.
And I really do think, I don't think it'll like take over Bitcoin or anything like that, but I do think it'll be up there. I do think that it will grow in value. It will have usability. It will have its core support and stuff like that. And yeah, like he's doing good work. And to be fair, it's that kind of competition that kind of drives innovation. So I kind of see it as potentially a really good thing for the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin.
I think there'll be, for 2018, I guess that's the stage that we're at, right? 2018's got to start. We got to start figuring out the wider application for some of these things. Whether you're a utility token, in the renewable space, whether you're in the, THC pot coin or things like that. I think these teams really got to start putting some things in place to demonstrate their utility and not just the promise of the utility that they're trying to bring. So, if it's Bitcoin Cash out there working with WooCommerce and other platform operators for integration, again, I'm going to agree with you, Johnny. I mean, I'm not going to dismiss anybody's efforts at all. And if it turns out that Bitcoin Cash is more aggressively, Vertcoin is doing a lot of things. I posted that in the group with VertBase. So, hats off to any team that's out there working in the background and not just here's our coin and either, we're done. You got to make it. And
Yep.
So yeah. Okay. And
yeah, I definitely like that from Coinbase. That's actually a really good thing, because obviously up until now, a lot of sites that you've been able to pay like for Bitcoin on, like I don't know if you have a CEX in the United States, where you can buy and sell games and that kind of stuff. It's like game exchange. You can buy TVs, laptops, all of that kind of thing. But they've been taking Bitcoin for well over a year. But the interface on it was absolutely horrendous, and the amount of times I tried to buy stuff and had a problem, and like it because it just wasn't easy to do. Hopefully that solves that, because like when they first integrated it, like all that comes up basically is send this amount of money to this address, and we'll process the order and send you an email once we've received the confirmations and blah, 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 blah. And I expect that this way, especially if you use perhaps some of the faster options that you've got to make payments, or if you pay a higher fee or whatever it is, then really and truly, like it should work a lot better than how things have been working up until now. Which is again, it's only good for being able to use your Bitcoin to purchase things in shops and restaurants and things like that. So, and obviously on websites.
Yeah, simply seeing this, even whether or not this is a mock-up dashboard or what have you, or whether this is really the case. I mean, at least there's teams working within Coinbase to try and build something there. So, acknowledgement of that. So, point being is that it was just kind of really sucky timing for that whole overcharging thing. And if that overshadowed this announcement around the same time, that's kind of unfortunate for Coinbase. And yeah,
that'd be a shame.
Yeah. I'm trying to get back to see. I'm trying to watch for questions, guys. So if you're answering, I'm just seeing.
No, I haven't seen a new one come up.
Ask questions, we're here for you, folks. Okay, so if that's the case, let's move on to the next one. Speaking of utility, this is, oh, come on, load up. I'm overloading my Chrome. Oh, speaking of which, I was going to do this on the Brave browser. I've been using the Brave browser here quite a bit, and I actually like it. So, but I'm using Chrome right now. So this is from, Venezuela will pre-sell their petro on February 20th. So 2 days from now, supposedly Venezuela is going to do a pre-sell on their new petrol or oil-backed cryptocurrency called the Petro. Thought that was kind of interesting.
Venezuela's had a lot of problems in recent years, and like not just with political instability, but like, I mean, there's some serious poverty going on down there.
Yes.
And I know a few people on Facebook that have friends that have been living there and saying it's been really rough, and the only thing that's actually been getting them through the really tough times has been the fact that they've had access to cryptocurrency. So yeah, exactly, it's enabled them to be able to go and buy food for their kids and things like that, which is good. That's a positive story for crypto. But in terms of them actually like bringing this out themselves, like, I can only see that again. That's another bonus. That's another good point that it, you know what I mean, goes for Bitcoin at the moment. If you understand, if that makes sense, because I mean, if it goes well, it's going to be a way for the country to make money because it's on its arse.
You know, and we're going to look at this next article, but also the president of Venezuela, he's really actually, Venezuela is not trying to do this on their own. The president of Venezuela has actually had meetings with OPEC leaders. So he's been over in the Middle East. So there's, you know, I think there is more to this story. Yes, this is Venezuela's token, but I think there's more to the story than just Venezuela.
I wonder if, because I know that a lot of the South American countries, they listen to the big player, I suppose, really in the region is kind of Brazil, really.
Yeah.
And I know, what do they call them? The BRICS countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China. I don't know what the S one stands for. Singapore, maybe, I don't know. But the BRICS nations have been well known to be effectively trying to bring down the dollar's dominance in terms of like the petrol oil industries, like take away the influence there of the dollar. So I'm wondering if this is like maybe a first step in their plan on the way to testing a new way of doing things there.
I think the key word is testing. So let me ask you, okay, Janita, what does moaning mean? Why does your comment say moaning? Please elaborate. Are you moaning about Coinbase or Venezuela, or just the fact that you have to look at us on camera? What are you moaning about? So,
unless you meant morning.
Oh, maybe it was morning. moaning because it's morning. I don't know. But welcome, Janita. Glad to have you. Brett Nixon. What's the difference in duration between short? Okay, we'll get to that one, Brett. Promise you, we'll come back to that. So yeah, but the one thing I will point out too is this last one here. And as always, remember, folks, like I said earlier, we're simply sharing some articles. If there are any articles, any information, any of the articles that we share that you want to do some further investigation on, I encourage you to do so. But the last sentence on this one is, earlier this month, the U.S. warned investors curious about Petro, saying dealing in it may contravene sanctions, because if you buy a cryptocurrency issued by a nation that U.S. has sanctions against, are you circumventing U.S. sanctions or supporting a nation, the point being is just check into it. If you should happen to want to hold Petro, what's the ramifications to a U.S. citizen? Anyway, thought that was interesting. Good old America stepping in and helping its citizens from,
But that would be some right shit if somebody bought some of that and the American government had them done on treason.
Well,
would it be treason?
It would be treasonous. So we'll see. I tell you what could happen is if one day I'm suddenly not here for Sundays doing live streams, you'll know.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm at Club Fed somewhere because I bought Petro. But anyway. But that brings us to the next article that eventually will show up. And let's see. Oh yes. Janita did mean morning. Good. I'm glad, Janita, that you're not moaning, that it's just good morning. So good morning to you, and welcome to Crypto on 45 on MDD. So this is another article. This one came out of oilprice.com. Why commodity coins are gaining popularity. So this article actually gets into deeper conversation about cryptocurrency and oil. And OPEC nations. And so I would encourage you, maybe I'll post this one on the group too, but this is an interesting article to add on to the thing that we just looked at about Venezuela. So who knows what we might see in this year when it comes to cryptocurrency and things like oil, because we are still a heavily oil dependent world. So
it's very interesting, isn't it? How crypto is kind of evolving. You know what I mean? It started off mainly most people that were in it were in it because they saw that Bitcoin had gone up from 9 cents to $1 or $1 to $50, or you know what I mean, up to $1,000, $20,000, and like that seemed to be the main driving force for the money coming into the market. But now we're starting to see, like, you know what I mean, like commodities, assets being backed by cryptocurrencies. You got utility tokens now. You got things like Rentberry, where that coin's going to be like to do with like rent, housing rentals and stuff like that. You've got Hostcoin that a friend of mine's actually working on, and like that's going to be doing like hosting services. That's hosting services on the blockchain. So, and that's that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just shows that the evolution is happening. Like, and it's happening really fast. So not just from an investment point of view, but from a somebody who like believes in the blockchain technology and crypto being the way forward. It does sort of seem that the world is beginning to wake up to the uses of blockchain and how it can become useful and change our economy.
I think I would agree that I think the world and the business environment is waking up to they have been aware. I think I don't know if they're waking up to potential of blockchain, but they've been paying attention to blockchain long enough now to where they've been able to think through the application of blockchain in their business. And I think we're starting to see the results of some of these things by the projects that are coming out. But there's no doubt. I mean, there was announcements by Microsoft about blockchain and digital identity and all sorts of stuff. So while it may not be on the surface terribly exciting to us as traders, investors, we get more excited about big green candles than we do about kind of looking longer term. But that's one of the reasons that I shared the blog post that I did on the MDD group about being looking at things as a value investor, and understanding kind of the bigger picture of a token. Yes. And whether or not that's an investment, not a trade, but whether it's an investment. And I think there's a big difference between a trade and an investment.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes to new coins and things like that, you see it on Facebook all the time. Everybody's after that short-term gain, aren't they? They want to get in, get out quick, make a couple of 100% and all of that within days or within the first day or whatever, and then that's it. They go off to the next thing, or then they go back to their trading or whatever else. But this could be a good way for people in cryptocurrency already to start playing a different kind of market, like the way you've got stocks and shares and stuff like that in the traditional financial world that have made people like millionaires and billionaires. If you had shares in Facebook in the early days, in Apple in the early days, that kind of stuff, you would now be a billionaire. We could be seeing that kind of thing within the next few years, really, with the cryptocurrency market. So if people are clever and they like you say, they see the bigger picture that's emerging here, there could be some opportunities to make a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, I would agree. And hopefully some of the information, what I don't know is, I don't know if, the folks that join us for the live stream or the folks that join us in the MDD group or what have you, I'll say participate in cryptocurrency however you want to. So I don't know if you spend your week reading, I'm in all sorts of Telegram, reading all sorts of articles. I'm always watching. And what I do during the course of the week when I run across these articles, I clip it, I throw it in Evernote, and then on Sunday I pull them up on my Evernote and say, here are the things that I'd like to talk about. Whether you choose to do that or not, that's up to you. But I would say, and to Johnny's point, and again, the reason I posted the article is you don't have to be involved in cryptocurrency simply as a token trader. You can be a value investor, or you can be both, which I am. And you say, I really like this project, and I'm gonna invest in it. But that's, I would say it's a significant hodl. And because sometimes I think hodl is simply meaning I'm holding it because I'm not ready to sell yet, versus being a value investor where you're investing in it with really no intention to sell. You don't have hey, when it gets to this, I'm going to sell. You're in it for the long haul on the project. So anyway, there's that. Let's see.
I agree, man.
Yeah, let me look at the questions again. Are we, Janita, are we happy with the BTC rise? Actually, no, I'm not. Let me tell you why. I actually had a line on my chart at 4,000. And I said if it got down to 4,000, I was going to buy a lot more, which I haven't bought Bitcoin since 2015. And I was going to buy a lot more. So am I happy that it's on the rise? Yeah, sure. I wish it had gotten down to 4,000 though, honestly.
Well, I don't think we're out of the woods there yet. When we start talking about the charts, I'll explain why.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's do this. Let's go on to the next one. And now we're to my favorite topic. You heard me kind of throw a little jab on one of the last live streams. Not last live streams, I think it was one of the crypto agent bot things. Okay, so for folks in the United States, the Internal Revenue Service has assembled a team of 10 investigators for international crime investigations, as well as for finding tax evaders who use cryptocurrency. So yeah, and this is really big print. I don't know why. And they're using I don't know why they use Hercule Poirot from, if anybody's familiar with, if you watch PBS, you'll know who he is.
Agatha, or the BBC in the UK.
BBC, yeah, it's Agatha Christie. Anyway, so yeah, so here we are. We're in tax season officially here in the United States. What's your tax? When's yours over there in the UK?
Our tax year runs from March to March.
Okay,
but you have to do your returns in January.
Oh, you do returns in January. Okay, so we do ours in April. Okay, so anyway. Yeah, I tell you what, this is interesting. The IRS has created this huge division of 10 whole people that are going to be investigating tax evaders in cryptocurrency. So, yeah, there you go. I don't know what, that's a lot of work for 10 people. So we'll see how effective they are.
They won't be effective.
Yeah, especially when we come to this article. This is from Fortune magazine.
So we know how to cover almost anything.
I don't want to watch your video. Oh, no. Hold on. Okay, we end up in Farmers Insurance now. Get out of that. I clicked this video by mistake.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's kind of common on TV here in the US on a lot of TV shows and such. Bitcoin investors aren't paying their crypto taxes. Despite months of warning to pay their taxes on cryptocurrency profits, American Bitcoin investors aren't in a hurry to tell Uncle Sam. Early data from one popular preparation service shows that only a minuscule proportion, just 0.04% of U.S. tax filers have reported their cryptocurrency gains and losses to the Internal Revenue Service so far this year. So yeah, of the total returns that have been put in now so far, only 0.04% of people have reported anything. So back to those 10 investigators, they got a lot of paperwork to be going through. So I don't have an opinion on that. Of course, what I'll say on video is obey the rules, pay your taxes, all that kind of stuff. But
see, I'm going. Now the thing that gets me here, right, is one, they've got no idea if that figure is true or not. They don't know all of they can't have checked all of the IP addresses for all of the accounts that there are, like Bitcoin accounts that are linked to American investors. There's no way that they know.
You mean
that.
This article here? You mean this article?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way they can know that. And also, I would also point out the fact that until recently, people, a lot of American people didn't really seem to know what the score was with how to report their gains in crypto with the IRS. It only seemed to sort of come clear in the last few months.
Yep. I would also say in this article, I mean, the article certainly wasn't, at least I didn't see it saying that these are known cryptocurrency investors or anything like that. They're just saying, based on the numbers, they haven't seen much of it yet. So of these 250,000 people that have filed a return so far, maybe none of them are even in Bitcoin,
Yeah,
so
exactly. Like,
we don't know what to make of this, but
I would still hazard a guess that the amount of people in America that actually own Bitcoin is probably way less than 20% of the population. I'd probably say it's probably closer to 2 or 3% than it is to 20%. It could be higher, I'm not sure, but so yeah, I mean, of the first 250,000 people to file their tax returns, I'm not surprised that only 0.4% of people are reporting their crypto findings, because it's highly likely that the percentage is so small. And at the same time, you've got to remember that they're only having to report their profits, right? The profits that they make on transactions and stuff. So if they made losses, wouldn't they be able to offset their losses against their profits? So therefore, perhaps they didn't make profit last year.
To me, the question is whether or not these tax preparing services even know what to do with it.
Yeah, this is another thing as well. Apparently, because that article that you brought up the other week, where you about being able to pay your taxes in cryptocurrency.
Yep. So the state of Arizona, well, that's state taxes.
Yeah. Well, no, to the IRS or whatever, wasn't it?
No, that's just so that the state of Arizona said you can pay your state taxes in crypto.
Oh, yeah. And basically, the thing that came off the back of that was, I mean, I don't know too much about it because I'm not an American. I didn't really read into it too much, but
yeah, there was
something about paying your taxes in crypto could lead to more taxes in crypto or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I don't know too much about it exactly, but
actually, yeah. So hold on, let me do this. I'm gonna go to Google.
But yeah, that was a strange one. Like,
So that was actually, I saw that as I was, let me see.
so again, it just points
Yeah,
out
here
the
it is.
confusion.
Paying tax in crypto ironically triggers more taxes. So that's this from Cointelegraph. Let's see. In the U.S., the Internal Revenue Service is not accepting Bitcoin, Ripple, or Ethereum for paying taxes yet, but it might not be too far off. With Arizona moving to become the first state in the country to accept payments in crypto, other states likely to follow. If passed, Arizona Senate Bill blah 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 would allow income tax to be paid in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that are approved by the Arizona Department of Revenue. The changes would not come into effect till 2020, which seemed like light years away. Okay. So, however, what so far few seem to be noting in taxable nature of paying in cryptocurrencies, after all, rightly or wrongly, the IRS position is that cryptocurrency is property, not currency. This fact has some big tax implications. I don't know, was there, I'm looking for, tax authorities would be required to convert such payments in dollars at the prevailing rate. That makes sense since tax obligations are in dollars. Yeah. I was looking for where it, so this is a fairly lengthy article here that maybe gets into the tax implications, but this was basically saying paying tax in crypto ironically triggers more taxes is one expert's take. So maybe that's something I'll throw in the group as well.
Yeah, might be something worth keeping an eye on for the US contingent of the MDD group.
Or everybody can just move to Puerto Rico. How about that? Let's all move to Puerto Rico and say, you know, sayonara, Uncle Sam. All right, so here we are in the place that we all love, and that is the Bitcoin charts. This is USDT Tether on Bittrex. Was there a preferred one? Do you want this one, or do you want another chart?
I've got my trading view open, and
if you want to, I'll stop my screen.
No, that's okay. Keep your screen because I can't share it anyway because I'm talking on my phone. And
okay.
My own charts. Like,
you want daily? This is hourly right now. You want the daily or do you want the hourly?
No, it's fine. I mean, go with whatever you was going to go with, buddy. Like, I'll just throw my 2 cents as we discuss it.
Yeah. So I just I don't know. I was just kind of playing with some trend lines here, but this is not an analysis, folks. This is just me throwing some trend lines on here for my own entertainment. So yeah, I was just looking at the trend lines here on the candles themselves, but I was also looking at the trend lines on the RSI, how we've had this consistent this consistent behavior in the RSI, but here since coming off of last night. We've seen the RSI come down, and now we're kind of playing in the middle of the road. The MACD is in what I would consider a really strong convergence right now. So I think we're kind of in a moment of calm compared to what we had seen over the last few days. Let's go to the daily.
I was just about to say the daily chart looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're the MACD, the blue is quite a lot. The blue line has crossed over, obviously, and the RSI had gone out the bottom and had dropped below the 30 mark, and obviously it's bounced back there, and the volume's also increased. So that's triggered a rise in Bitcoin. I mean, it's amazing the two different views between the time charts, isn't it?
It really is.
The outlook's completely different.
One of the things that makes me a little bit nervous is the wick on this candle for today.
Yeah,
that's a pretty significant wick that's really trying to test some new lows. I don't know. Here's what I'll say about TradingView. Even though I really like TradingView for a lot of the things it does, what I don't like is if you trade or if you use the order books as one of your indicators, I'm not too impressed with TradingView for that. It does give you depth of market, but I don't really like depth of market compared to actually looking at the order books to see what's going on. So I can't tell you the story about that wick, but if we could get into the order books and really look at the order books, I think you would get a clearer picture of what that story is. But anytime I see a wick like that, it makes me a little bit nervous about making a prediction on the trend, you know?
Yeah.
There's uncertainty.
It's exactly why I'm not sure that we're quite out of the woods yet. I think it's a very delicate situation right now. We're banking on a lot of variables.
Yeah, I don't want to say simply because we've recovered from the low that now is the time to be feeling exuberance. Feel some relief. Feel what you want. Feel indifference. I don't care. But if this is something that's new to you, don't get too affected by the highs and the lows of this stuff, because this recovery's probably got you feeling good, which is great, but don't if it reverses on you, you could have your little hopes crushed and say, oh no. So that's all I'm saying.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, if you pull out a little bit on that daily chart, you can see why I'm not sure we're quite back into bullish territory yet, because you've got obviously that high point, and you can effectively see that, like, if you used to draw the lines at the lows and the highs, that we're in that channel, and we've got some way to go. I believe it's around $12,000. It's roughly the area we need to hit.
Are you going off wicks, or what are you going off of?
Yeah, the wicks included.
All right, so let me just do this. I'm going to take off my dashes, and I'm going to make this a thinner line. Because what I did is I looked at some of these wicks. It's interesting how we're kind of testing in these areas. That wick tested it, these wicks, this wick, this wick. What was the point you said? What, 12,000 something?
Well, yeah, 12,000 is where I think we need to get to above to confirm that we are back in bullish territory.
So let's just throw that. It's not going to be perfectly 12,000, but let's say there's 12,006 right there. Go the blue line there. Yeah, I mean, it's really tough even if I had extended, based on the Fibonacci here, because that Fibonacci, even if we went for the 50% Fibonacci, we're getting close to that on that 12,000. Technically, I guess that would be 12,500 would be the 50% retracement based on the retracement that I drew. Again, as we talked before about Fibonacci retracement, you can pick whatever low, and this is something new to you. Fibonacci is simply an indicator that you can use on your trading view. You pick what you consider to be a low point and the high point. You throw up the Fibonacci. This is called the Fibonacci retracement. There's also called the Fibonacci extension. This is a Fibonacci retracement. This isn't going to be a lesson in Fibonacci, but the point is, this is a tool that we can use, and a popular point of a Fibonacci is this 50% line right here. So anyway, and that's getting awful close. That would be 12.5 would be the 50%.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you look at the candles themselves, I mean, it kind of, you know what I mean? If you drew the line between the very top there and then the where it hit the resistance on the second go up, and then drop back down. And then obviously where we're recovering a little bit now, if you draw a line down there, we're looking at around 12,000, maybe 12.2 or something like that, as being the point where we're out of that channel, and the bullishness really from there, really and truly, that's when the bulls are officially back, if you ask me. But it's changing all the time, isn't it? Because obviously there's so many different factors now that are affecting the market. So it is interesting. I think this week is going to be the determining week as to whether we're in the clear or whether we may want to strap ourselves in for another ride downwards.
Yeah, I guess my position is, even if we did go down, it's and if you've been with us since maybe December, or you're 90 days into it or what have you, if we do go back down, this won't be your first rodeo. But again, you've probably heard us say it a million times, is just hodl and prepare. We're not, I think all of us, whether it's Johnny, Steve, Mike, myself, any of us that you see or any of the admins or anything like that, absolutely, we're always happy to see a market recover, but we also know that.
I mean, what I would say is if it doesn't break that point, obviously with the coins that you're hodling, it doesn't matter to you whether they go up or they go down, because you're in those coins for the long term anyway. So you can kind of cast those aside in your mind, so to speak. But if there's any medium and short term trades that you're in, if it bounces back from when we reach that channel, if it bounces back and goes down, take your profits where. I mean, again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I mean, you don't have to listen to me, and I'm not an expert on this, but I would say if you're in profit in any coins, or close to profit in any coins at that point, take your profits there. And obviously, what you can do what you want with your Bitcoin. Then you can just either hold on to it, you can wait for a dip and buy some altcoins in the dips that are eventually going to happen if it does drop down, or you can switch to the USDT and you can try and buy your Bitcoin back cheaper and get more of it, or whatever. However you want to play it, that's obviously cool. But I mean, if we break that point, and we do, and the bull market has definitely returned and things start to go up, obviously great. But just be careful if we're not out the woods yet, because obviously if you're stuck in coins for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, or whatever, psychologically it does get a little bit shitty.
It does.
And a lot of people, like, you know what I mean? Like I do it all the time. So even now, I'll be like, I've held this coin forever. It doesn't look like it's getting any better. Should I just cut my losses now? Because I mean, a lot of the time I don't really work to stop losses. Because I'm active in the market, I can kind of see it. And a lot of the coins that I hold, I don't mind holding for the long term, if that makes sense. While I do some day trading, a lot of the coins that I actually hold and day trade in are coins that I kind of believe in anyway. So if things don't go my way, then they're coins I don't mind holding on to and waiting until the next rise or whatever. But I know a lot of people don't do that. I know a lot of people put a lot of money into cheaper, less well-known coins. A lot of them don't really do a lot of research into those coins, and they're effectively shit coins. So I mean, if we don't break that barrier, then obviously do what you got to do. You either strap yourself in and hodl, or sell your coins, take your profits, and do whatever you need to do. But I'm optimistic, because I believe that the news in the crypto space is starting to get a lot better. There's a lot more positive reports coming out, so that's going to go in its favor. Obviously, Chinese New Year was a few days ago, so this is potentially going to be the first week where a lot of the guys in the Asian market are going to be potentially back at work, so they're going to be unloading their Ledger Nanos, and they're going to be getting back to trading again. So you never know. I mean, it could go one or two ways. We could see things go really, really badly, and Bitcoin could potentially drop down to about $4,000. That's worst case scenario, I reckon. Maybe $4,500 is probably more likely, but you never know what. Like I say, you never really. Bitcoin does what she wants at the end of the day. So I mean, it could go that low. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, that's the I think the bigger point is have a plan for either way. So
yeah,
you as a trader, you as an investor, or however you want to define yourself, you can choose. And Johnny and I talked about this on other videos, you know, as far as swimming with the whales or operating in the same waters as the whales and the big player is. You know, you can either I don't know the word I'm looking for, but just have a plan for yourself, whatever direction it goes. I mean, I've already expressed a plan for myself. Is I had gone through that period of you know, grief, denial, all that kind of stuff, that those steps of mourning when Bitcoin started going down off the $17,000 and $18,000 highs. But I had finally made a plan for myself, saying, okay, instead of just being affected by this, what is my plan? And my plan was, I said, okay, I'm cool with that. If it goes down to 4,000, I intend to buy more. So if it goes up, it goes up. That's great. But if it goes down, I have a plan in place. Now, understandable, not everybody's going to be in a position to where you can buy more if the market goes down. We totally respect that. We totally get that. But at the same time, some of the things that we shared with you, or I wanted to share, especially in this market, is that I don't think somebody buys $400 million worth of Bitcoin within the last week without some good reason, right?
yeah.
You know, so even if you're not a whale, you know, you can swim in their wake, and you know, there's that. Okay, so let's go.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that the idea is you don't want to swim against them, do you? You want to swim in their slipstream,
or getting eaten by them.
Yeah.
You want to be the krill, right?
Yeah, exactly. You want to be you want to be riding their coattails. You don't want to be lunch.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, as long as you prepare yourself properly, you'll survive it. But I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that are kind of anxious right now because maybe they've been buying coins all the way down just to make their dollar cost average a little bit better. I've done that. I've probably over leveraged myself in terms of what I wanted to spend on altcoins, purely because I know that certain coins are going to come back. So by bringing the dollar cost average down, I'm going to probably make more profit on that as everything goes up. So I'm happy to sit and wait at this point with what I've got. But I'd rather it went up, because obviously in a bull market, things just go a lot better.
Yes.
In terms of CAB works a lot better in the bull market, because the guys, they don't want to give out any shit signals and stuff like that, and potentially lose people a lot of money. So they kind of slow their roll a little bit, and they don't put out as much signal. So I want the bulls to be confirmed, and obviously everything's going to get back to the way it was in December. And it was rocking in December, absolutely rocking. I just want that again. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens this week, but I'm quite positive. I'm going to be myself paying attention mostly to the market cap, because over the course of this week, we could either potentially see it drop back down to 350 billion, or we could probably potentially see it go up to about 700 or 800 million. But we just don't know at this point, really. It really is on a knife edge, and it could really go either way.
Yep. You know, I'll admit, I was getting to a point. I'm with you, and we've talked about that before too. I'm very heavily allocated. I have mentioned in the past that I never really go 100% allocation, but I was heavily allocated. You can see these are my tokens that I'm holding currently on the side here. I've got all these in TradingView. So, you know, we'll call it diversified, but I'm holding a lot of altcoins right now waiting for it. But because there's been not a whole lot going on, I was kind of getting itchy. So I'm like that drunk guy in the casino at like close to, well, I don't think casinos closed, but early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm that drunk guy in the casino saying, okay, I'm just going to place one more bet and just let it ride. So that's what I did with ZCL or Z Classic. I know they got a fork coming up on the 28th. I know they got a 1-to-1 airdrop. And I just went 25 or 30% in. I said, okay, all the BTC I have left remaining that I haven't allocated, I just threw 30% in that and said, let's let it ride. You know, Lady Luck. I have no idea what the airdrop. This is going to be Bitcoin private is what's going to come out of this. But yeah, here I showed you. I mentioned. Let's go back. Let's go to Z.
Yeah, you mentioned it to me at a time, literally, where had I got that message about 45 minutes earlier, I'd have probably went in on that, but I went down a different route a little bit earlier. And yeah, so I missed out on that one because the next time I had fluid Bitcoin, it already started going up. So I was like, maybe I missed out.
All right, so here's the crappy thing about charts, folks. I'm going to pull up, this is ZCL. I went to the daily. And let's look at, this is ZCL. This is months prior. Now this is October, November, December, blah, blah, blah. And now we come to, let me condense this a little bit.
Bam.
Let's see, there's December 23rd. Let's go to December 26th. December 26th. There's 1,975% right there going off this top candle right here. And that was on the 14th. As of today, we'll call it the closing candle, 1,864%. When I look at this, am I kicking myself for not buying a lot of ZCL back in Christmas? Yeah, sure I am, but there's not much I can do about that now. But the point is that opportunities exist within the market. Even, you know, if you're hyper focused on Bitcoin and that's all you're looking at, and you know, I would say that opportunities exist. So to me, the lesson there is that, you know, become a student of the markets, become a student and pay attention to what's going on out there. I can't speak to what Bitcoin private is going to be, what the value is going to be, if it's going to be a crap coin or a decent coin. I don't know anything about that, but if you're simply looking for that opportunity to make some money, I think, you know, there was some there, but I thought that was really interesting. What's a token that you like, Johnny? Give me a Bitcoin pair.
A what?
Give me a Bitcoin pair, Bitcoin something.
A coin I like the look of at the minute. What? Well, again, we've spoken about this coin, THC. That's hard forking, I believe, in a few days. Okay.
So let's look at what I'm going to show here. This is something that we might get into in the future. I got to find it. So I'm on Bittrex right now. See if I can find it here. THC. THC. I don't understand their search features sometimes. Oh, that's I don't want Ethereum. I want Bitcoin market. All right,
I've noticed you have to do that. Sometimes certain coins just won't show up, and you have to refresh the page to be able to access the coin.
Okay. Oh, here's another one. We talked about Stratus, right?
Yeah, I do like Stratus.
Okay, so
one that I like for the future.
So this isn't really, I mean, we're not going to be talking about Stratus itself. I just wanted to show you, I mentioned something earlier about order books. It's somebody from one of And maybe this is something that we can get into in the future, because there's a lot of different, there's everything from, looking, going to something like Coinbase and looking at coin market caps and looking at the bigger picture. And then you can go into charts and you can look at dailies and you can look at all sorts of stuff. But if you're kind of in that moment, one thing that was interesting, and I would say maybe do some research on this and see if this is something that you like. It's trading based off the depth charts and order books. Looking at the order books is something different, but looking at the depth chart. So right now we're looking at the order book depth chart for Stratus. And you may have heard terms like buy walls and sell walls and things like that. So right now we're looking at the bids and the asks, or the buys and the sells. Pretty straightforward when you just look at it, green versus red, the buy versus the sell. So one thing I like about this type of chart is, so candles and looking at the charts are, even if you go down to a 1 minute candle, it's still somewhat of a lagging indicator of what is, what might be happening during that minute, or what has happened in that hour or that day or whatever. When you look at this, you see things like this wall right here. And you see that this wall right here is, and you see this, the price point, that's 8.9, or it's going to be relative to whatever coin you're looking at. But a price where these buyers have to eat through this wall in order for that price to continue to go up. So this can be an indicator of where things could go based on existing orders that are on the books. So I thought this was an interesting chart, and
because that shows you potential points of resistance.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I don't trade just off the order books alone. Obviously, you should be looking at potentially 3 to 4 different indicators when deciding to go in on a trade or whatever else. But yeah, it's definitely something that you can use to your advantage, because it's so easy to understand. The big blocks there, they're your points of resistance, and on the other side, they're your big points of support. So you can look at it. Looking at that right there, you've got several quite substantial areas that could potentially be points where that coin's going to drop.
Yep. It can also be an indicator if you have, just because it's an order that's on the books doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an order that's going to be executed. Yes. So you could look at this. So you may have heard of us talk in previous videos or what have you about market manipulation and things like that. If you have somebody, if you have a bear whale, or what, you can use any of the terms, but if you have some large players, or if you have players that are in a particular token that are attempting to manipulate movement of that token or direction of that token, and they put up a buy wall, or it could be a sell wall too, in order to manipulate that order can disappear just like that too, right? They can cancel that order at any time.
This is the thing. This is probably the one thing where you can see the manipulation from a visual point of view.
Agreed.
Because when you sit and you actually look at this information for a period, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I've looked at the order book for hours sometimes, because you can literally see the manipulation taking place. Massive sell walls appearing and disappearing, massive buy support appearing and then disappearing, and all of that kind of stuff. And it shows what the guys with deep pockets are actually able to do in the market.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of fun to watch, and that's where, and it's something that you talk a lot about, and maybe you hear more talk about that in Crypto Agent Bot, where we talk about stop losses and things like that. There's a whole strategy with buying, with trading by looking at the order books and where you're going to put stop losses and where you're going to put things like that. Those become more advanced trading and more of a day trader type of behavior, where you really got to be, you really should know what you should know what you're doing no matter what, but you need to know what you're doing before you get into real true day trading. But So like now, because we're getting ready for ZCL to fork at the end of the month, I mean, there's a lot of volatility right now in ZCL. So I'll come here and I just want to look and see, what's the current, what are the current orders on the books looking like, and what might I be able to expect? So, I'll look at this one and I'm actually kind of happy with what I'm seeing right now. So, all right. So that is in Bittrex, and they don't really do this in TradingView that well. So if you want to look at your order books, and you can look at others, like if you have Binance, if you start to use Binance, you'll actually see it on the side, and you'll actually see them, and you'll see the buy walls and sell walls in real time. But this is just the depth of market chart, which you can find that by going to Bittrex, and then instead of looking at the timeline, come over here and look at the order book, and you can look at that. Let's see. So that's kind of an hour and a half, my friend. Is there anything that you want? Okay.
Well, there is one thing that I wanted to say to the guys that are watching this, whether you're watching this live or you're watching it on the playback. If there's any articles that you see during the week that you would like our opinion on, or you think are interesting, feel free to send them to us, and we'll discuss them next Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want to make this for you. We'll fill the time with whatever we can find to talk about, but we want to make this for you. So please ask questions. This is your time. To that, Brett earlier asked, what's the difference between duration? What's the difference in duration between short-term, mid-term, and long-term crypto trading?
Yes.
I imagine there's a true definition out there somewhere. The definition, we don't have a hard and fast definition that we necessarily use in cab trading. Johnny, if you have a specific definition, go for it. Otherwise,
well, I imagine that everybody's got their own kind of definitions, but I mean, for me personally, the duration times that I sort of work in is short-term trading. For me, is a trade that is open and closed anywhere between 20 minutes and a day. That's a short-term trade, maybe 2 days at a push. But I consider that a short-term trade. Then you go from sort of 2 days to a week and a half, 2 weeks. That's what I'd call your mid-term trades, because you're not making any profit for a couple of weeks. That to me is mid-term. And then obviously long-term trading is when you get into sort of 3 or 4 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever. Then that's a long-term trade, obviously. So those are the definitions and the sort of the durations and timeframes that I put on it myself. But everybody's going to be different. Everybody might have their own ideas. I mean, I know a lot of short people that consider short-term trades that they're only like up to 4 to 6 hours.
mm-hmm.
Anything over that they consider a longer-term trade. But it depends on your mindset and the kind of trader that you are. Are you a day trader? Are you a swing trader? Or are you a guy who just buys in the dips and sells in the pump? So you know what I mean? There's so many different strategies that people use when trading. So everybody's going to have their own opinion on things there. But yeah, that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm trying to think of, so the trades that you would typically see in Crypto Agent Bot. I'm going back in my memory back to October, or trying to remember. I can't really think of too many where the buy and sell happen within the same day. I can't think of many that would. So within the context of Crypto Agent Bot, for me, and this is just my definition, short-term are trades. Short-term for me is within the week. Mid-term is within the month. Long-term is anything longer than that month. That's kind of how I do it. And that's why for me, anytime somebody asks me about Crypto Agent Bot, I do consider it more of a swing trade rather than a day trade. We don't.
Yeah, it's not day trading.
Yeah, that's just typically not the type of signals. And again, I'm going back in my memory trying to think of many trades that we've seen since, at least for myself, since October. I can't remember many.
There's only been a few. One of them, I mean, it hit my sell order within 4 hours, I believe. I mean, there's been a few that have closed within a day. But for the majority of the signals that we've got through CAB, we're usually holding them 2 or 3 days, a week to 2 weeks. Like that's kind of the averages that we've been seeing. Obviously, except for when we've hit bear markets, because then you are holding your coins longer. But that's just the nature of the beast. Not really a lot you can do about that.
Yes, then it becomes holding bags, and that's a whole different.
We've got another question as well.
Yep.
Come through from Daryl.
Yep.
He's asked, with Bitcoin going up, how do we see other coins following?
So I think it was last week's when I was on with Ryan. And again, this is just my opinion. And in the past, especially last year, it wasn't uncommon to say that Bitcoin, or to subscribe to the idea that Bitcoin and altcoins travel inversely. And I think there was comfort with that. In other words, when Bitcoin goes up, that sucks money out of altcoins. And as a result, people start liquidating their altcoins in order to buy Bitcoin. And as a result, altcoins go down. Mm-hmm. There's a good argument to be made for that.
I'm not sure that there is anymore.
Well, what I was going to say is that while there may be correlation, and I've said this on many videos, while there might be correlation, I don't think that's causation. I don't think it's as simple as saying when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go down. Yeah. So there might be correlation, but there's not causation. That's not a trading strategy in my mind to say when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go down. And I think what we're going to start seeing in 2018 are some of these stronger altcoins operating independent of Bitcoin. Yes. and trading their own way. And there's arguments that, well,
Ethereum's already started doing that. It's making its own way. I hope this year that Litecoin goes a bit more independent as well. I still think that it is influenced a lot by what happens in the market with Bitcoin, but I see that the influence is going to end up being less and less and less, especially obviously with LightPay. It's going to be like a big factor for them this year.
Yep.
So we are starting to see some of the larger coins acting independently, and it would be nice if we could get some more coins doing that. But I think things the dynamics kind of changed a little bit. Whereas like last year, it seemed to be when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins went down, and when it went down, altcoins went up. And then we had a little period where it went up with Bitcoin, and then it went down with Bitcoin at the same time. And I don't know, over recent months, it seems to have been more a case of altcoins in general. Altcoins, the majority of altcoins do well when the market's more settled. So when you see Bitcoin, say, I mean, what's the price right now?
Bitcoin?
We're looking at 10,000 to 11,000 over the past day.
Yeah, we're at 10.7, we'll call it.
So what I would say is if, say we have a period of 2 or 3 days where we stay within, say, 10,500 and 11,500, that'd be really good for a lot of the altcoins, because that's a steady ship for them to go about their business and make their rises and their falls. But you've also got some coins that also go up with Bitcoin, go down if Bitcoin goes up. So you're still going to have those coins that do that, but as a majority kind of thing, they seem to like, at the moment at least anyway, a settled market. But I don't know whether that's because, I mean, I don't know what your take is on this, Dale, but I don't know whether it's because all eyes are on Bitcoin right now because of the bear market.
Well, I guess it depends on who the players that we're talking about, because the reason I say that is because even though we've been in a bear market and the general media has been paying attention to Bitcoin, that seems to what gets most of the media attention. That's what gets discussed on Bloomberg and financial channels. And, you know, the guy that you mentioned the other week, he's not on Bloomberg. You're talking about Jim Cramer, the crazy guy that yells and hits buzzers. And things like that. That's Jim Cramer. He's CNBC, but there's
I love
Bloomberg
him.
and CNBC. Yeah, that's Cramer. So there's that, but then there's also people that are heavily ingrained in the crypto world, or maybe heavily ingrained either on the development side, or heavily ingrained or embedded in cryptocurrency as heavy, you know, as investors and traders. So, you know, this time of year, February, we got a lot of big conferences going on. The spring is the time of year where a lot of big announcements come out. We got, like, Lisk is going to be announcing a rebrand and a release of their SDK. So there's a lot of independent things going on that are not tethered to, sorry, I use the word tethered, but tethered to what is Bitcoin doing, right? So, and I think ultimately these coins that are gonna, if a coin's gonna be successful, it needs to find its independent life. And you know, we already mentioned a few that we're seeing that more. So I think you're going to see some erratic movements in some of these legitimate altcoins, simply because it's that time of year where the conferences are going on. I think this week there was a big conference in Dallas. There's big conferences in Europe. There's Blockchain West coming up next month. So February and March. So I'd be looking for individual tokens to make their move independent of Bitcoin. And what I was going to say also is for you as an investor in the crypto market, I would really encourage you to, you know, we're going to have our cab trades. That's fine. And there's really, by following those signals, it removes the emotion, right? Just trade the signals. That's it. Yeah. That's all you got to know, is just trade the signals. But I don't know if you become interested in cryptocurrency and what's going on, you start doing your own stuff. And that, I think that's just a natural progression of an investor and a trader. But what I would say is, look at those crypto projects that interest you, learn more about them, read their white papers, educate yourself about the project, and then trade that coin independently, and not, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I research everything, especially a coin that you're not fit, like you have. I mean, everybody knows Bitcoin, everybody knows Ethereum, everybody knows Litecoin. But yeah, I mean, if you are getting into other coins and stuff like that, and you're looking to know more about the coins that you're getting into, definitely do your research. I would say as well, in terms of how coins react in the market and stuff like that, a really, really good site for you to bookmark is coinmarketcow.com, and that basically gives you like a list of all upcoming events for certain coins. Like next week, I believe we've got there is Electronium is being listed on a couple of exchanges. You've got Litecoin hard fork. There's the XCP launch or rebrand or whatever it is exactly that's going on there.
Did you say CoinMarketCow?
Yeah, CoinMarketCal.
Oh, I think it's a cow, like makes milk. Okay.
No, Cal.
Oh, so that's right here, I think. CoinMarket.
Like, yeah, it's basically a CoinMarket calendar.
Yeah, here it is. Okay.
Yeah, and literally it's got so much stuff on here. Nano, BitJob, Bancor, Verge, like even small things like the Q&A with Verge Verge's Justin Vendetta. They've got even really small things like that you never know. He might make an announcement in that might affect a coin. Bitcoin White, never even heard of that one. Bitcoin Script. You've got all kinds of stuff going on. But there's other ones you can use as well. Obviously, just type into Google cryptocurrency events calendars.
Yeah.
There's several of them that you can use. But yeah, that's the kind of information that you want to add in when you're making your analysis of whether to get into a coin or not. Because quite often, if there's an event coming up or a hard fork coming up or something like that in the lead up to that event, you'll see that the price will pump on that coin, despite the fact that even if the market in general is doing absolutely shit and everything's going down, this coin will perform because people are chucking money at it because they're waiting to hear what comes out about from an event or what happens with the hard fork. They're waiting for some free coins or whatever else. Or they're waiting for a coin to be listed on an exchange because they reckon it's going to pump and that kind of stuff. So it's just another tool for you, basically. It's another tool. CAB's a tool. CAB's a tool that you can use to basically do a bit of trading without the emotion attached. If you want to get deeper into things, you're going to need other tools as well. You're going to need your trading view so that you can do your charts. You're going to need things like CoinMarketCal and CoinMarketCap, so that you know the kind of money that's moving in the market, and you know certain things about certain coins, when they're going to have events. It's all of this kind of stuff that gives you a bigger picture of what's going on in the market, and it serves you much better. When like last year, I'd probably say the beginning of last year was when I started to take trading a little bit more seriously. But I mean, I had knowledge of trading, but I didn't really know like the fundamentals of the Bitcoin market. So I ended up losing a lot of money because I didn't understand that I needed to know all of these other things as well. And if I had somebody telling me the stuff I'm telling you guys now last year, I would have been so much better off. There would be so many coins that I didn't get into, so many like times I sold coins when I should have held on to them and all of that kind of stuff. But we don't hold on to any of that negative bullshit. We just move on. But yeah, I mean, they're the kind of things that you do want. You want to use all these tools. You want to use all the information that we have available to make the best assertion about what a coin's going to do, what the market's going to do, and the more information, the better. At the end of the day.
Yeah, and we hopefully we do a good job, and we do try in the MDD page to share these resources with you, because as you know, for the Crypto Agent Bot community page, we keep that specifically about Crypto Agent Bot. MDD, we kind of make it in crypto in general, so we do share some of these resources there. There was the thing that I had posted a while back ago about you can look up a coin and see how many projects they have on GitHub, how much active development a coin has going on, and how many. So if you're looking for a project that is active and is a lot of these things happen in unison, right? So these events happen with a lot of developer activity, and those things get listed on GitHub. So those tools do exist to help you research a token beyond the white paper, right? Understand the application, but then look at some of these tools and events and what have you. So that does go back to the question that you can start making a better plan for yourself rather than just simply existing and in a reactive fashion to what Bitcoin is doing in the markets in general, and start trading a little bit more strategically, whether it's value-based trading or paying attention to what coins are doing and making trades there. And to Steve Swanson, Steve, I am your Jim Cramer of cryptocurrency.
I knew you was going to mention that. I liked it. I liked it a while ago. Yeah, I was going to comment back, but I thought that I hope that you see it because I knew you was going to go down that one.
Yeah, I tell you what I'll do then is, so I've got the music. What I'll do is I'll get some sort of sound thing, and then I can just make all sorts of weird sound effects, ding, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'll be your Jim Cramer. Let's see, what else do we have? But Daryl, thanks for joining us. Steve Swanson, thanks for joining us. Brett, you're welcome. Hope that question, hope that helped. Janita, hope you got some coffee. Kevin McAfee is watching. Kevin, hey there.
Hey, Kev, man.
Yeah. So, okay. What is that a show or what?
Yeah, I think we can wind it up for this week. Like we said, for those of you that are wondering what's going to be happening in the next week, I would say just keep your eye on the market for the next few days. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but we should know for sure in the next few days whether the outlook's looking more positive or negative and what to expect really.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, I do think that we're going to know one way or the other, and we can plan for it effectively. So, fingers crossed, it goes up.
Yeah, I would say that make sure your Binance is funded. Take care of some of those things right now. I have heard a few people saying that Bittrex had approved them and they got accounts. So, folks, I'll totally eat crow on that. If Bittrex starts opening up to the masses and what have you, I'll eat crow on my estimation or my guess before that it was going to be only for the institutional investors and what have you. I'm right on most things, but I'm not saying I'm right on everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know there's a few guys in the group that have accounts that were already made. I believe this is for a lot of people have finally been verified after weeks and in some cases months of having to wait for it. So yeah, I mean that's a positive step, but I don't know if these people have recently opened accounts or whether they were accounts that they had just before it closed and they, you know what I mean, they were just signing up at that point.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've heard the rumors that they're going to be imposing minimum deposits and all of that kind of stuff. So
maybe Bittrex is still going to be usable by the average individual if they move crypto. If they move their crypto from Coinbase or Gemini into a Bittrex account, just the way it's always been. But I do believe that if you intend to put fiat directly into Bittrex, unless you're institutional, unless you're a big player, unless you meet some pretty, I'm going to guess they're pretty significant minimums. Don't expect to be hooking up your bank account to Bittrex and moving $100 over, right? I can't see them even being interested in that. If you want to move 10,000 or something like that,
it's not a safe option doing that either. You don't want to give your bank account details to any exchange. That's just dangerous as fuck. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. This exchange has been hacked. That exchange has been hacked. Literally just the other week, there was a couple of 100 million stolen from one of the not so big but not so small exchanges or whatever, and they've had to promise to pay people's money back or whatever. So yeah, I mean, even if that becomes an option on some of these exchanges, it's only going to be an option on the centralized exchanges.
True.
And I'm hoping that we move towards more decentralized exchange systems. So hopefully at some point this year, we're not even going to be talking about Bittrex and Poloniex and all these other pieces of shit because we're going to be on decentralized platforms. But I mean, obviously I know that some people, they like to do what the government tells them and be good little worker bees and You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And
The world
yeah.
needs sheep too. So yeah.
Well, yeah, we wouldn't have wool without the sheep. So
Yeah. So anyway, but congrats to some of the people that got their Bittrex account. But I think the focus is going to be on Binance.
yeah, this is the week for Binance. They've nailed their colours to the mast now. I'm going to be really pissed off if they don't deliver this week.
Yeah.
Because we've heard it from people that are close to the development team and whatever else that it's going to be 10 days, it's going to be 2 weeks, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But now we've actually had the message from them that it's going to be this week. So they've got to deliver now.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Johnny, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you taking time off or time out of your evening over there.
Yeah, man.
What I would say is if there are any, and maybe you don't have to be an admin or a moderator in the team. If there's somebody, if you're out there and you enjoy these and you want to be a panelist or participate in this, unless you just want to look at Johnny and myself every weekend, that's fine too. But if somebody wants to jump in. I also mentioned, so previously I'd mentioned that I have been communicating with the folks at Basic Attention Token and the Brave browser. Maybe next time I'll pull up the Brave browser so you can see what that is. But I'm working on trying to get somebody from Basic Attention Token to join us in a future live stream where they can come in, maybe not for the whole session, but maybe just for a portion of it, and tell us about Basic Attention Token and the Brave browser project. I know there's some announcements this week that are interesting. So I operate in the digital marketing space, so it's something that is it resonates with me, the project that they're doing. But some of the announcements this week, like the new ad blocker that's natively built into Chrome browsers. So there's developments within the industry itself that kind of that are interesting events to be taking place at the same time that Basic Attention Token is trying to disrupt the digital advertising space. This last week, there was an announcement by Unilever. And if you're not familiar with Unilever is one of the giant conglomerate companies that owns just about every, if it's not Procter & Gamble or Unilever or one of those companies, you probably have a lot of Unilever stuff in your home.
They got their fingers into all kinds of pies, man.
Yep.
All kinds of stuff. They're a huge company they cover so many different industries, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, tons of them. Everything from household cleaning to pet foods, whatever. They just have a lot. Anyway, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they spend I can't remember exactly how many $billion they spend a year on digital advertising, but they've basically gone to Facebook and Google and say, we're not satisfied with what's going. We're actually going to pull, our ad spend. So there's disruption that's happening within the digital advertising space that seem to make something like Basic Attention Token very, very interesting at this time. So that's one project. The other one was Stratus, and we just talked about Stratus just a bit ago, and we looked at something. I met a young guy at our local university. He's part of the Stratus team, more on their official Reddit. He's kind of like a moderator or a contributor on their Reddit. I was at the University of Minnesota this past Friday. He was presenting on behalf of Stratus to the university crypto club there about Stratus. He said he'd be willing to come on and do an overview of Stratus and what's going on with that. So, we want to make this live stream something other than just Johnny and I talking about stuff, even though that's amazing by itself. Maybe try and get some of these project people to come on and talk about these things.
Yeah, but we're gonna need you guys to watch. We're gonna need more of you guys to come on. We're gonna need more of you guys to ask us some questions, to get involved a little bit. Like Dale said earlier, this is mostly for your benefit. This isn't just so that we can just get on a call and have and shoot the shit.
Johnny and I could do a video chat anytime.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to do live videos in order to do that. So this is an opportunity for you guys, really. If you want to know more about certain aspects, whether it's CAB related, whether it's just general crypto, whether it's trading, whether it's specific news items that have come out in the week that you want to discuss. Get involved. Let's have a discussion. Let's see if we can help you understand a bit more. Let's see if you. I mean, there's a few people in the group that are more knowledgeable than me. Are probably more knowledgeable than Dale. If you guys could even offer us some insight, come on. You don't have to actually come on the call if you're camera shy or whatever. Just ask questions on the post. Watch along, ask the questions, we'll answer them, or you know what I mean. Let's get some discussion going, because at the end of the day, even for the people that don't watch it live and they watch it back, the kind of discussions that we can have will be able to give them value, and obviously as a community, it's going to help us all out.
Yeah, and you know, and if you're watching, even if you're watching the recorded, we know that means that you're part of the MDD group, right? That's the only way you're watching this thing. So just by being a member of the group, you know, we welcome and encourage your participation in the group. So yeah, join us live, comment or whatever, and that's cool.
But yeah, we're gonna get some cool guests on, so we'll probably have a lot more people watching then, because obviously if we're gonna have these guys coming in from all of these coins or whatever to talk about the projects, and people can ask them questions and shit, we'll obviously advertise it and post up like stuff in the group about it. Those calls are gonna be manic. Watch, there's hundreds of people in the group, and it's not every day you get access to one of the development team behind a coin or one of the owners of a coin. So
right,
it'd be interesting. I think that'll probably be the tipping point for probably these kind of calls. But yeah, I mean, even if that's not really your cup of tea and you're not really interested in learning more about the coins and stuff like that, you just want to know more about trading, get yourself on this call. It seems to be a good time for most people. I mean, most people don't seem to work Sundays. For me, I mean, I'm not working at all now, but for me, Sunday evening, it's kind of quiet, it's kind of chilled here in the UK. So I'm able to get on the call. So I know that a lot of you guys in the UK will be similar. You'll have a bit of time on a Sunday evening. I know Sunday afternoons over in America, unless there's a big football game on. I know a lot of you guys. Yeah, it's off season at the moment, isn't it now?
Yep.
Yeah, I know that this seems to be a good time to be able to catch you guys getting up in Australia. We're able to get you guys in America and the guys in Europe all involved in one call. So why not?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Let's get some discussion going.
And also the reason we just randomly picked 3 o'clock or whatever time it is there, but 3 o'clock Central US, because we thought that would work for everybody. If it, give us feedback on that too. But we think it is a time that works for everybody, and we'll continue doing this. I think what I'll do first is try and get the guy from Stratus on, and then we've also got somebody locally from Monero. That's an official presenter officially presents on behalf of Monero. Get them on. And the Monero, I think, will be interesting because I think he can get deeper into the discussion of what are privacy tokens, how do they work. They're really interesting. Matter of fact, I was listening to a podcast with an interview with somebody from Dash, and it was a very interesting podcast that explained the different ways different privacy tokens work. So I thought that was interesting as well. So the Monero guy Justin is his name. He can talk about privacy tokens. Anyway, so let's wrap this up before we see too many big giant red candles showing up here. Yeah. But folks, have a great week. Stay tuned for announcements. Be watching your Crypto Agent Bot Telegram for announcements coming out, hopefully this week, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So until next time, Johnny, always a pleasure. And we'll see everybody next time on Crypto in Around 45 on MDD. Yeah.